I am a 59-year-old man, and my wife, who is 57, and I have been married for 36 years. Our life together seemed like a classic tale of love and family. We have 5 children, 3 sons aged 29, 37, and 26, and 2 daughters aged 34 and 38. Our oldest daughter is from my wife's first marriage. Over the years, our family has grown, and we are now blessed with 17 grandchildren, each bringing their own joy and chaos into our lives. But recently, my world was turned upside down in a way I never saw coming. My wife, in a moment of what I can only describe as a horrible slip of the tongue, revealed a secret she had been harboring for decades. She accidentally let it slip that she had been involved in an on-and-off affair with my father since our wedding day. At first, I could not believe what I was hearing. It felt like a nightmare I would wake up from, but as she continued to speak, the horrifying truth became undeniable. She tried to deny it at first, but then she broke down and confessed everything. The affair began just hours after we said our vows, right at our wedding reception. My father had started touching her inappropriately, and while she claimed to have told him to stop, it did not end there. 6 months into our marriage, they began their illicit affair. It lasted for a year and a half before it paused, only to resume 2 years later after my mother passed away. My wife told me she felt sorry for my father, and that somehow led them back into each other's arms. The affair carried on intermittently for years, causing more damage than I could have ever imagined. The shockwaves of her confession rippled through every part of my life. I learned that our second baby, who we tragically lost, was not even mine. It was my father's. This revelation hit me harder than I can put into words. Their affair continued on and off until my father died in 2022, and with his passing, I thought we could finally move on from whatever strained relationship my wife and I had. But now it all feels like a lie. Adding to the pain, she admitted to having a one-night stand just 2 months into our relationship, long before we were married. It is as if everything I knew about my life and marriage has been shattered. I am devastated, lost, and heartbroken. The pain is unbearable, and I find myself questioning everything. How could I have been so blind? How did I not see the signs? I have always prided myself on being a good husband and father. I worked hard to provide for my family, often putting their needs above my own. I thought we had built a solid foundation of trust and love. But now, it feels like my entire marriage was built on lies and deceit. The betrayal cuts deep, leaving me feeling isolated and desolate. In this state of turmoil, I'm struggling to find a way forward. The thought of ending it all has crossed my mind more times than I care to admit. I feel like I am drowning in a sea of despair with no lifeline in sight. The love and trust I once had in my wife have been replaced by a hollow emptiness that gnaws at my soul every day. Despite the overwhelming pain, I know I need to find a way to cope, to heal, and to move on. But right now, I am lost, broken, and in desperate need of help. This is the most agonizing experience of my life, and I do not know how to navigate through this storm. I keep replaying our wedding day in my mind, trying to spot any signs that I might have missed. It was supposed to be the happiest day of our lives. We were surrounded by friends and family, celebrating our love and commitment. How could something so vile have begun right under my nose? I remember the laughter, the dancing, and the joy that filled the air. But now, those memories are tainted, overshadowed by the knowledge of what was happening behind the scenes. As I look back, I realize there were moments when my father and my wife seemed unusually close. At the time, I brushed it off as them developing a strong father-in-law and daughter-in-law bond. I never imagined there was something more sinister at play. My father, whom I admired and respected, was capable of such betrayal. It makes me question everything about our relationship. How could he do this to his own son? My wife's confession about our second child being my father's was like a knife to the heart. Losing a child is painful enough, but to find out that the child was not mine, to begin with, adds a layer of heartbreak I never thought possible. I remember the day we lost our baby. It was one of the darkest days of our marriage. We grieved together, or so I thought. But now, I wonder if her grief was for more than just the loss of a baby. Was it also for the loss of a secret she had been keeping from me? My father's death in 2020 was another turning point. I thought it marked the end of a painful chapter, a chance for us to finally heal and move forward. But now I know that his death was merely the end of one lie and the beginning of my realization of a deeper betrayal. It is hard to reconcile the image of the loving father I had with the man who could betray his own son in such a profound way. The memories of him are now tainted with anger and disappointment. My wife's one-night stand 2 months into our relationship adds another layer of betrayal. It makes me question the foundation of our entire relationship. Was it ever real? Or was it always based on lies and deception? The trust that I had in her is shattered, and I am left to pick up the pieces of my broken heart. I have tried to talk to her about it, to understand why she did what she did. But her answers only bring more pain. She says she was young and confused, that she made mistakes. But those mistakes have cost us dearly. I cannot help but feel that our entire marriage has been a lie. The woman I thought I knew and loved is a stranger to me now. Our children and grandchildren are the only light in this darkness. They are the reason I get up in the morning, the reason I keep going. But even they are affected by this. I see the confusion and hurt in their eyes, and it breaks my heart. They look up to us, see us as role models. What do they think of us now? How do we explain this to them? I have not told them the full truth. I do not want to burden them with this pain. But I know that eventually they will need to know. They deserve to know the truth about their family. But how do I tell them? How do I explain that their mother, their grandmother, has been living a lie all these years? How do I tell them that the grandfather they loved and admired was capable of such betrayal? I feel like I am living in a nightmare, one that I cannot wake up from. The pain is constant, a dull ache in my chest that never goes away. I have lost weight, I have trouble sleeping, and I am constantly on edge. The simplest things remind me of the betrayal, and I find myself breaking down in tears at the most unexpected moments. Friends and family have noticed the change in me. They ask if I am okay, if there is anything they can do to help. But how can I tell them? How can I explain the depth of my pain? I do not want their pity. I do not want to be the subject of gossip and speculation. I just want to find a way to heal, to move forward. Every day, I battle with the waves of sorrow and anger that crash over me. It is a struggle to get through each day, pretending everything is fine when inside I am falling apart. I wonder how I will ever be able to forgive my wife, or if I even should. The trust that we built over nearly 4 decades has been destroyed, and I do not know if it can ever be repaired. I thought about seeking professional help, talking to a therapist who might help me make sense of this mess. But even that feels like a monumental task. How do I open up about such a deeply personal and painful betrayal? How do I trust someone enough to let them into this part of my life? Yet I know that I need to do something. I cannot keep going on like this. The days seem to blend into one another, each one feeling heavier than the last. I go through the motions, putting on a brave face for the sake of my children and grandchildren. They are my anchors, the reason I have not completely fallen apart. I find solace in their innocence, their laughter, and their unconditional love. They remind me that there is still good in my life, even if it feels overshadowed by darkness. I also think about the impact on our children. How will they cope when they learn the truth? Will they blame themselves? Will they blame us? It is a burden I wish I could spare them from, but I know that eventually they will need to understand. I only hope that when the time comes, we can find a way to navigate through it together as a family. The thought of facing my wife each day is a constant reminder of the betrayal. Every time I look at her, I am reminded of the lies, the deceit, and the pain. It is a wound that refuses to heal, a scar that will always be there. I find myself questioning her every word, doubting her every action. The trust that once formed the bedrock of our marriage is now in ruins. I have moments of clarity where I see a glimmer of hope, a possibility of moving forward. But those moments are fleeting, quickly overshadowed by the weight of the betrayal. I wonder if I will ever be able to look at my wife without feeling the sting of her infidelity. Can we rebuild what has been shattered, or is it too late? As I stand at this crossroads, I am faced with difficult choices. Do I try to salvage what is left of our marriage, or do I walk away and start anew? The thought of starting over at my age is daunting, but so is the idea of living the rest of my life with this pain. I am torn between the desire to forgive and the overwhelming need to protect myself from further hurt. I know that healing will take time, and it will not be easy. It will require patience, understanding, and a willingness to confront the pain head-on. But I also know that I cannot do it alone. I need support, whether it is from friends, family, or a professional. I need to find a way to move forward, to rebuild my life, and to find peace. In the end, I realize that I have to take it one day at a time. Each day is a step toward healing, a chance to rebuild the pieces of my shattered heart. I may never fully understand why my wife did what she did, but I can choose how I respond. I can choose to find strength in my pain, to rise above the betrayal, and to forge a new path forward. This journey will not be easy, and there will be days when the pain feels unbearable. But I hold on to the hope that one day, I will find peace. I will find a way to forgive, not just my wife, but also myself for not seeing the signs. And maybe, just maybe, I will be able to look back on this time as a period of growth and resilience. Until then, I take comfort in the love of my children and grandchildren, in the small moments of joy that remind me that life is still worth living. I hold on to the belief that even in the darkest times, there is a light that can guide us through. And I keep moving forward, one step at a time, toward a future that holds the promise of healing and hope.